Hey everyone, Eric here. Today, I want to share with you a couple of tips that will hopefully make the process of adding crown molding to your model a little more fun. Now, I don't know about you, but who doesn't like crown molding? Or at least, who doesn't like modeling crown molding? So as you can see behind me, we are going to add some to a little interior design model that I have, but I want to point out that it's not all fun and games. There are a couple things that we need to consider, especially when the fact that the molding has to go through openings or doors, or the fact that you are using a complex profile. So let's go ahead and look at all of those different things right now. So I've got my molding. I'm actually already done. See, quick video. We can just stop there. But I don't know about you, it's probably a good idea to start from the beginning together so we can see the whole process. I'm just going to come over here and erase my molding. So what I have instead is a floor group and a wall group. That's it. I'm just starting the process of detailing out my interior model here. And what I want to do is think about how I want to approach this. Now, I already know that I can use the Follow Me tool in order to make the molding, but I want to think about what am I following? Do I want to come and grab the wall group here and then go this way, but then I stop and then I have to come over here and grab this wall group and then do it again? So do I want to do it on the manually? So I've got a few options. Now, I don't know if this is the best way, but this is the way my brain says to do it. It actually says don't go along the wall at all. In fact, go along the floor. Let's start by copying a piece of the floor off to the side. I'm going to do that because I want to kind of go back and forth between being able to see what the crown molding looks like in context, but also being able to work with it a little bit independently so you can see just, exactly what I'm doing every step of the way. So here, if I turn on my X-ray mode and I kind of zoom in, you can see that the floor group is actually does not follow the wall. The floor group goes all the way to the outer edge of the wall, but not the inner one. So for me, the first step that I want to do is sort of get a profile that I can tell my crown molding to follow. So I'm going to pop in here and I'm going to say intersect faces with model. Now be careful, because if you've got furnishings and a bunch of other stuff, it may intersect with everything. Now I've got a nice fresh model, so I can do that with confidence. But just again, keep in mind where you are in the process. That may or may not be something you may want to actually intersect with selection and select the walls instead, but up to you. Depends on the model you're working on. So you can see what happened there. If I undo that because I was talking, I'm going to do that again. Come over here, select intersect faces with model, and watch. This is the reason why I pulled this to the side, because you can't see it with the walls, is now I've got this much more detailed profile. It goes in and out and around, and it's where my built-in cabinets and my kitchen counter and my bookshelf and all that stuff's going to go. So now I actually have not the outer group anymore, but I have the inner line that represents where I want my crown molding to go. And you can see here that even if I wanted it to go around the columns, all I have to do is just pull that column back just the width of the crown molding. And now all of a sudden you can see what that inner group looks like. I'm not worried if it's going to go behind like my fridge and stuff. I'm just going to go ahead and ignore that. I know that some of you probably are noticing that why go through the effort? Actually, I'm not. This is the easier way to do it. I've got my profile ready. Now I need, I've got my path ready. Now I need my profile. So if I zoom way in, and I'm going to use the right arrow key so I can lock this along an axis. I'm going to type in 1,4 because that's kind of the size that I want to use. So it's very small. So I'll zoom in. And then I select the path that I want. So not just the path, but actually the face that represents the path that I want. And then come over here to Follow Me, and then click Follow Me, and then click this profile once. And you can see there it is. I've got all of this done. Now I have to be careful though, because right now they're all on the same group together. So what I might want to do first, don't have to do this, but you may want to come in and think about giving it a material first. And the reason why is because then when you do that Follow Me step, you can then right click it and say, select all on the same material, and then select, and then you can come over here, not select, make group. So now my molding is grouped independently from my face. Now, I like to do that, just helps me to know that everything is sort of safe and does not stick to each other. So let's talk about those openings. maybe it's best here to pop back into the model with the walls so that you can see exactly what I mean by openings. There's a doorway there. Now that profile that I did here, it's so simple. All I got to do is just push and delete. So in 2 clicks, I can just get rid of that molding because I'm using a relatively simple profile. We're going to do this in just a second with a harder one. But you can see what I felt like when I did this, when I was testing some different methods. I felt like doing the whole room in 1 click, including the columns, and then pushing out the doorways, that was sort of the easier way to go. It was pretty quick, actually. It was slow because I was talking, but it's actually pretty fast if I was to do that over again. Now, but what if you have a more complicated profile? Because push-pull then maybe isn't the best solution. So let's look at an alternative way to basically accomplish the same task. So what I'm going to do is go back in. We're going to delete. We're going to go into my floor group. Since I grouped those separately, I'm going to delete my molding. And we're going to do this one more time. So same thing. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to say 1,4. And I'm going to also paint this a material. Maybe I'll paint it a little bit lighter so I can see, because it's going to be a little bit more complicated. I want to make sure I can see all of the details that I'm going to draw. So I'll start with my arc tool. And I'm just making this up. So if you're a woodworker or a molding expert out there, just, forgive me. For this demo, I just wanted something that has kind of an interesting shape to it. Something that, looks plausible. And I'm just going to stop it there. So find that tangent. So don't need that bit there. So same process applies. I've applied a material to that. So I'm going to select my same face group, my same floor face, come over here, grab the follow me, and in 1 click, there it is. So then I'm going to come over here and same thing like I did before, select all of the same material and make that a group. Okay, so now I've got my group. Let's pop back over and see how it looks in context. It looks good, but as I said, you cannot just push-pull this anymore. It doesn't want to do that. It's too complex. It's got all this extra geometry. Well, you're probably thinking, why don't you just use the eraser tool? All right, let's try that. I'm going to erase. Problem is, I just lost my top face. And again, now I'm, it's just erasing. I'm going to end up losing information that I don't want to lose. So I'm going to undo that. A different way to think about this would be to turn this profile or turn this crown molding into a solid. So right now it is a solid. So a solid basically means there's no lines, there's no edges, it's complete. It's got a bottom face, there's no holes. If you have a solid group like this, then you can just bring in a solid group that you can then use to create like what I'm calling a cutting component. So by a cutting component, I mean something that you can use. Let me actually make this a different, I'm going to group that. Come in here, push this up, and pull this back out. Maybe change the color of that a little bit. So basically what that means is that you can, if this is a solid, which it is, and this is a solid, which it is, then you can basically say, I want to take this object here, and I can open up my solid tools palette, and I want to find this one here that says subtract. I want to subtract this from this. And then there you go. It's gone. So that's how easy it is. Now I'm going to do that one over again, because if you noticed, I actually have more than one opening that I need to cut. So I actually can turn on my hidden geometry, and I can come in here and I'm just going to unhide that, because you can see I did that same step, but I already placed 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So all of these are just loose geometry. They're just little extruded rectangles, and they are also a solid group. So they're both solid. So I'm going to do the same thing. I want to take these and I want to subtract them from my crown molding. So I have to make sure that these are in the same subgroup. So subtract those from my crown molding, and there you go. It's punched out all of my holes, all at once, and it does not matter how complex the geometry is, it'll just punch it because it's a solid. Now I've got my nice, ornate, detailed crown molding. You can see how fast that was. Now I'm ready to move on to lay out my furniture, and I'm good to go. So I'm going to leave you there. In fact, actually, I'm not going to leave you quite yet. I want to plug behind me. Now, you know me, I like to plug stuff. If you like the model that we're working on and you want to see that step but a little bit slower and also with a lot more detail as far as what came before and then of course what's coming after, you can check out our course on commercial interiors here on SketchUp campus. That's learn.sketchup.com. There'll be a link in the description. And then you can go through not just that lesson on crown molding, but you can go through a lot of these other lessons for doing the walls and doing the adding materials and of course setting up camera views and getting ready to export your scene when you're all done. So I hope you learned something new. I hope you enjoyed that. Hope you had as much fun working with molding as I did. And I'm going to leave you with thank you and see you next time.